This is overwater analysis of Kyla's freestyle. First thing that we're going to look at for Kyla's freestyle is this start. There are a few things that she needs to work on. The first is making sure that she pushes off with that left leg. You can see she pushes all the way through with her right leg, but she brings that left leg back up to her stomach. We want to make sure that that leg is out straight behind her and pushing off the block just like the other leg. The next thing that we want to focus on is making sure that we have a nice tight streamline going into the water. As we can see here, her hands are already apart before she even hits the water. And when she does hit the water, they go even wider apart. As a result, Kyla's goggles come off. If she keeps her streamline tight, pushes off with strength, both legs, her goggles will stay on and she'll go much further underwater on that start. The fastest point we have at any point during a race is immediately off the blocks. So we want to make sure that we don't take a breath first stroke off the blocks. We want to try to maintain as much of that momentum off the blocks as we can by not breathing until we absolutely need to. As we can see, it almost brings Kyla to a complete stop when she takes that first breath. We also need to work on Kyla's head position. Right now it is very high in the water. Because her head position is so high, it's forcing her hips down, and it's making her harder to stay high in the water. So if she were to drop that forehead down a little bit and keep her eyes on the bottom of the pool, her hips will stay higher and her body position will be considerably better. Kyla does have good elbows, as we see here. She does a very great job of bending her elbows. And then she gets to this turn. Once we get over and our feet hit the wall, we want to push off flat on our back. We don't want to spin over onto our stomach. We want to make sure that when we get to this point right here, our feet hit the wall like hot lava and we push off into a streamline on our back and then flip over. We don't want to flip over onto our stomach before we push off the wall, because then we're not going to carry any momentum off the wall. Again, we don't want to breathe on that first stroke off the wall either. Kyla does a pretty good job keeping her body around the center, that center line, her invisible center line. But we need her to work on making sure she doesn't rock her head so far back and forth when she takes a breath. She does a little bit too much rotation when she breathes, and as a result, her head bobs back a little bit to the opposite direction as well. So we want to try to minimize that head movement so that we have as little turbulence as possible. This is underwater analysis of Kyla's freestyle. Alright, as we see, those hands are apart when she hunts into the water, and that causes, and not in a tight streamline, and that's why her goggles pop off here. Kyla does a good job of staying centered on that middle invisible line of her body, but you can see that she really over-rotates here when she takes a breath. We want to make sure that we don't roll that head quite so far to take a breath. Kyla is probably the best person in our group at making sure her elbow is above her hand in the freestyle in the underwater recovery. That's great for adding power and torque. Here comes that turn we just talked about. Boom, we want to push off the wall right here. Once our feet get here, we're going to push off and streamline on our back. We don't want to make it all the way around and then flip over onto our stomach before we start swimming. That way we'll carry a lot more momentum off of the wall, and we will add a lot of power to our turn. As we see Kyla coming back here, we can see her doing a great job of leading with that hand, not letting the elbow drop. You can see she rotates her head just a little bit too far. Good body position. Point those eyes a little bit further down towards the bottom of the pool to improve that head position. One thing that Kyla can also do is try to eliminate the crossover freestyle kick. As you see here, her feet cross over and hit each other when she rolls her body. We want to try to make sure that she does not cross over her feet when she kicks so that she can have more power and more range of motion through that kick.